There's a strange kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep ever seems to fix, and for years I lived trapped inside it. I'd be drained all day, dragging myself from hour to hour, running on fumes. And then the second my head touched the pillow, my brain would come alive like someone flipped a switch. Wide awake at midnight. Then 1. Then 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling. I blamed myself for it. I decided I was broken, undisciplined, weak. But what I didn't understand back then is the truth that eventually turned everything around. And I'll warn you, it might unsettle you a little. Your brain may be quietly working against your sleep on purpose. Not because something is wrong with you, but because somewhere along the way, it secretly learned to see sleep as stress, as pressure. And once your brain believes that, no hack, no pill, no perfect routine will ever fully work. Hey, quick hello before we go deeper, and welcome to 1% Better Every Day, where we get a little wiser about our own minds, one video at a time. Because I'm about to share 7 neuroscience-backed habits I use to retrain my own brain to finally want rest again. Stay to the end, the last one changed everything. And if you're someone who wants to keep growing, subscribe now so we can keep exploring this together. Join us. So let me start where my own turnaround actually began, with the very first habit that cracked the whole thing open. For years, I couldn't admit something out loud, so I'll admit it to you now. Night was the only time I ever felt truly free. No one needed anything from me, no deadlines, no noise, just a few quiet hours that belonged to me alone. And because of that, some stubborn part of me refused to let them end. It turns out there's a name for this. Neuroscientists call it revenge bedtime procrastination, and it's tied to dopamine and something called emotional compensation. When your day leaves you feeling starved of reward, your brain tries to claw that missing satisfaction back at night, and it does it by keeping you wide awake. That's the cruel little twist. You can be exhausted to the bone and still resist sleep, because sleep feels like surrendering the only freedom you got all day. The moment I understood that, something shifted in me. I stopped treating bed like a shutdown I was avoiding, and started treating it like a reward I was moving toward. I built small signals my brain could learn to love. A warm, dim lamp. One particular blanket. A scent I now tie to calm. Nothing dramatic. But slowly my nervous system began reading those cues as safety, and for the first time, part of me actually looked forward to letting the day go. And once I had my nights feeling safe, I ran straight into the next problem, one I never saw coming. Let me ask you something first. Have you ever felt heavy with sleep all day? Then the instant you pick up your phone in bed, you're suddenly sharp, alert, scrolling like it's noon? I did that for years and never once questioned it. Here's what's really happening underneath, and it honestly humbled me. We accidentally train our own brains to wake up at night by making bedtime the most stimulating part of the entire day. Bright screens, fast videos, endless novelty, one dopamine spike after another. And every spike whispers to your brain that alertness and excitement live here, at night.
Yeah!
So it starts expecting them. This isn't just about blue light, the way everyone loves to say. It's your reward system quietly learning that darkness means dopamine. Reversing that was not comfortable. When I first swapped the stimulation for something slower, it felt unbearably boring, and I almost quit. But that boredom was just my overstimulated brain throwing a tantrum. So I gave it gentler rewards it could actually handle. Soft light, calm sound, a few real pages, some slow stretching. Give it a couple of weeks, and the baseline resets. My natural sleepiness came back on its own. But calming the stimulation only got me halfway, because there was still something my brain refused to do on its own. It never actually ended the day. And that's the thing almost nobody talks about. Modern life has no closing ceremony. We work, scroll, reply to messages, and pour information into our heads right up until the exact second we expect to fall asleep. There's no line between the noise and the rest, so the brain just keeps running in the background, still processing, still bracing for more. What finally helped me was building an ending signal. And I want to be clear about this, it is not a productivity routine. It's the opposite. It's a shutdown. And it can be almost laughably small. For me, it started as turning off one specific lamp, then washing my face slowly, then writing tomorrow's worries onto paper so they'd leave my head. Some nights, I'd just say 4 quiet words to myself, "The day is done." The magic isn't in the action, it's in the repetition. There's a part of your brain, the basal ganglia, that runs your automatic habits. It starts reading that repeated sequence as a signal to transition. Do it long enough, and your brain begins powering down before you've even reached the bed. Now here's where it gets interesting, because that ending signal only truly works once it becomes something your brain can predict. And prediction, it turns out, is one of the most powerful sleep tools we have. Your brain craves it because predictability lowers uncertainty, and lowered uncertainty tells your nervous system it can finally stand down. It's the same reason you sleep like a rock in your own bed but toss all night in a strange hotel room. The unfamiliar keeps you subtly on guard. And this is exactly where I'd been sabotaging myself for years without realizing it. My nights were chaos. One evening I'd scroll for 2 hours, the next I'd work late, then crash early, then binge something until I couldn't keep my eyes open. My brain never got to build a stable rhythm, so it never knew when to relax. So I stopped chasing the perfect elaborate routine and started repeating tiny, almost boring cues instead. Dimming the lights in the same order. A little warm water. Clearing my desk for 60 seconds. Sitting quietly for 2 minutes before lying down. The actions themselves aren't special. Their sameness is. Because when your brain can anticipate what's coming, it starts slowing down before you even ask it to. Patterns create anticipation, and anticipation quietly shapes your biology. But even with my nights calm and predictable, there was one thing that could still ambush me the moment the lights went out. My own mind. You know the thoughts I mean. The ones that stay perfectly silent all day, then get impossibly loud the second the room goes quiet. For me, it was always something unfinished, someone I forgot to reply to, a mistake I kept rehearsing, a worry with no home. I used to think a racing mind at night meant I was anxious or broken. It doesn't. There's a principle in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect, and it says your brain grips unfinished business far harder than anything you've actually completed. So when the world finally goes still, those open loops don't fade, they surface, because nothing else is left to drown them out. What changed everything for me was almost embarrassingly simple. Before bed, I externalize one lingering thought. Just one. Not a full journal, not planning my whole life on paper. I write down the single thing my brain refuses to release. Call this person tomorrow. Finish that. I'm still hurt about this, and I'll face it later. The instant a thought moves from inside your head to somewhere outside it, the weight lifts. Your mind stops guarding it because it finally trusts the thought is safe without you. And yet, even with my mind emptied onto paper, I still fell into the oldest trap of them all, the one I think almost everyone reading this knows by heart. Lying there, eyes shut, silently negotiating with myself. I need to sleep now. If I don't fall asleep soon, tomorrow is ruined. Why am I still awake? And here's the cruel irony I had to learn the hard way. That very pressure is what keeps you conscious. Your brain can't tell the difference between urgency and danger is designed to keep you alert, scanning, alive. So the harder you attack sleep, the faster it slips away. What finally broke the cycle for me is a strange little trick called cognitive shuffling. Instead of forcing anything, you let your mind drift through random, meaningless objects, one after another, with no emotional weight at all. Apple. Bridge. Cloud. Pencil. River. The randomness stops your brain from locking onto any single anxious thought, and it quietly mimics the loose, fragmented thinking your mind naturally falls into as it drifts towards sleep. For a chronic overthinker like me, that was the difference between fighting my brain and gently letting it wander. I wasn't chasing sleep anymore. I was simply distracting the part of me that kept getting in its way. But underneath every single habit I've shared, there was one deeper thing I kept circling back to, and it's the truth that finally tied the whole journey together. My brain didn't feel safe at night. There's a word for this that I wish I'd learned years earlier: hypervigilance. It's when your nervous system stays quietly on guard, even when nothing is actually wrong. No threat in the room, no danger at the door, and still some ancient part of you keeps scanning, monitoring, refusing to fully let go. Stress does it. Anxiety does it. Emotional overload, constant pressure, too much noise, they all keep the brain in that low hum of alertness. And a brain that's still standing watch cannot sink into real rest, no matter how many hours you lie there. That's why sleep and mental health are so deeply, inseparably linked. Your brain sleeps its deepest only when it feels safe, which means emotional comfort matters far, far more than we ever give it credit for. Slow breathing tells it you're safe. Dim light tells it you're safe. Predictable habits, gentle routines, even the softer way you speak to yourself in the dark, they all whisper the same message. And this is where most of us go wrong. We attack sleep like an enemy to be defeated, when it was never something to conquer. You cannot force your brain into deep rest through pressure. You can only guide it there, gently, through safety and repetition and time. So let me pull all of this together, one traveler to another, because if there's a single thing I wish someone had told me years ago, it's this. Better sleep was never really about cutting caffeine or banning screens, though those things help. It was about retraining the relationship between my brain and rest itself. Your nervous system remembers patterns. If night after night feels stressful, lonely, overstimulating, or heavy, your brain learns to stay awake to protect you, and it's not betraying you when it does that, it's trying to help. But when sleep slowly starts to feel safe, predictable, comforting, and even rewarding, the resistance quietly fades on its own. I'm not the same person who used to lie awake at 2 in the morning, blaming himself in the dark. And the thing that changed wasn't more discipline. That's the real goal here, not knocking yourself unconscious, but teaching your brain to genuinely love rest again. If any of this made you see your own mind a little differently, leave a like so it can reach someone who needs it tonight. And subscribe to 1% Better every day, because we're just getting started, and I'd love to keep growing right alongside you.